Welcome to The Patty Show. My name is Patty Setiatti, and in this podcast, we'll explore the crossing point of the three P's: passion, pleasure, and positivity, and how they can lead you to your own personal paradise. We'll chat with inspiring guests, share practical tips, and dive into stories that will empower you to live your best life. Let's get the Patty Party started. Back to The Patty Show, everybody. Woo! Yeah. Oh, wow. Studio audience. I think you know what you're doing over there, studio audience. Thank you, everybody, tuning in. We're on season 3, episode 25. Pleasure, savoring the good life. Crazy to say it's season 3 already. Time has flown by. A lot has changed. This is going to release around Valentine's Day, Lunar New Year, February, around that time. So hope everyone's staying safe, having a good time, good chocolate, and good vibes, y'all. So today, we're going to explore the importance of pleasure in our lives and how to savor good things. But before that, just want to give a quick recap of last episode 24, Passion, living a life you love with my brother, my best friend, Lucario. Thank you for being so vulnerable. You're my boy. Our trips to Bali, we didn't fully explore. Let's just say I don't think my mom would like those stories. So maybe on the Patreon, the Patty Patreon, we'll get there one day. More, I won't say explicit content, but more fleshed out content. But I'm proud of you, man. Killing it being OT. Proud of you moving to Boston. And thanks for being on the Patty Show. And here's episode 25. So episode 25 today, pleasure. I have to pull out all the stops for season 3, y'all. This man right here, this is my little guest intro. Joining me is a board game mastermind. You can see all the different games over here. Mastermind. He knows how to bring the good vibes on a full day shoot. And we're talking 2 days. Basically, 12, 14 hours? Something like that. Something like that. He is crushing it with his legendary game, Sabobatage. And then there's a new one right over there that we'll talk about soonly. My brother, Eric Chen. Give it up for Eric. Come on, man. Bro, thank you for coming today. I appreciate you. Could you just give a quick little, background, life story, talk about your passions, hobbies, and how we met to the audience right over there, my man.
Yeah. Patty, thanks for having me. My name is Eric Chen. I'm a serial entrepreneur by trade. I think it's been about, I lost track already, maybe 8, 9, 10 years even.
10 years, man?
Almost, maybe.
Man, I guess they're right. Asian don't raisin. This guy, I thought he was my age, man. You're 26?
No, I'm much older than that.
Oh, goodness. You got to teach me the secret after, bro. We won't tell the podcast.
The secret is just full pleasure and no stress.
There we go. Because the stress, honestly, my hair is already getting crazy with all the stress.
I see a little white hair on the side, so hence the hat.
Oh, man.
But yeah, serial entrepreneur for several years now. It's been quite a journey. I used to work in corporate, in sales and marketing, and then I decided to, jump full-time into entrepreneurship. There is a little bit of backstory there that involved a big car accident.
Oh, man.
Which led me into, wanting to figure out life and basically figure out all of life's pleasure and just, living for yourself and, of course, others and your loved ones. But, yeah, I started entrepreneurship many years ago, and it's really, a big journey, and it's brought me to creating a board game, like you mentioned, Sabobatage, the first Boba card game in the U.S.
Shout out to you, man. Sabobatage, love it. Man, this guy hooked me up. This is my quick little flower segment to my boy. We don't have sound effects. We're going to get there eventually when Amazon sponsors this. We're going to talk about that later after. But, bro, thank you for hooking me up and my family with, what is this, the mat? And
playmat set.
Playmat set, everything, man. This game, if y'all haven't played it, it's a fun vibe. You could honestly probably describe it better than me. Because I'm real with you, I'm so bad with games. It took me forever. My little cousin actually showed me how to play because he was like, "Oh, Patty, you just do this." I'm like, "All right, Mr. TikTok boy." He's like 16 or something, and you know how these kids nowadays. I sound crazy saying that, like I'm old as hell. But like, like the whole game.
You might not be good at the card games, but you were pretty good at the physical, life-size Jenga game, right?
Hey, man, shout out to you, man. This guy also, shout out to you. Thanks for supporting me, man, from that. Because we got to talk about this. This show that we did, that's how we actually kind of met. Oh, man, it was, 12, 14-hour shoot days. Just a lot of this. Let's just say that's why he's so good at this. You can see us at the Wishlist Games, and we lost our soul those days. But Nick Cannon, Lily Pons, we love y'all. Blessings to everyone over there. Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to talk about how we met that day. I'm trying to give me your side of the story, and then I'll give my side of the story of how we kind of
Oh man, those are such tiring days that I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure probably because you're one of the only few Asians on the show too. So,
I'm glad that you said that. I was gonna say
right?
the same thing.
But of course, everyone's just like introducing themselves, talking to other people. I actually remember there's like kind of like a rude table that didn't really.
Oh yeah, they
like,
were like
they're like looking at us and like you can't like it was like elementary school lunch. You can't sit with us.
yeah, it was like like everyone has their own clique kind of thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, we just all met.
So
Like
we were
we're
trying to be friends with everybody, right? So yeah, no, it's just cool to be able to meet you there. And then it was just so funny because everyone's sharing their wish list items. Like, oh, so what's on your list?
yeah,
What's on
yeah,
your
yeah.
list? So it was just cool to meet new people, meet you, and of course spending that much time together all in one day. Of course, create a special bond and everything.
Man, I appreciate you again, bottom of my heart, man. More flowers to you, more flowers, bro. Honestly, the Asian part was actually a big sticking point because I'm also like, damn, there's like, I mean, there's diversity, but I'm like, where are my brothers and sisters? Were we the only Asian? I can't remember now.
There's
like
maybe like two other. There's like the Asian girl with her mom.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I think she was like a lawyer or something, and then honestly, I don't know if there was anyone else. I think like 4 of us out of like what 100.
Oh yeah,
people?
bro. That also now when I'm thinking about it, there were so many people on the shoot. Like shout out to everyone that we made friends with. I'm real with you. I can't remember everyone's names because there's a lot of us and really tiring. But man, I'm glad that we still stay connected. And yeah, man, it was just like a good energy from the beginning. It felt like summer camp kind of vibe because we were there for like 12 hours the first day and then almost 12 hours for the second day. And it's just like I said, a lot of clapping.
It got to a point I was just fake talking the whole time.
Yeah, because my hands were just yeah, it was just too much. But man, your story also was super unique because we were just like chatting up near like the snacks. Which shout out to Amazon, they had some good snacks. I'm like, bro,
snackies.
Man, I took some home. I'm not gonna lie, but it's the Asian parents, but I'm leaving with something. You
course, yeah.
You gotta leave with something.
Chips in the backpack.
Bro, especially because like we were gonna. There was also the show was so funny because there was like no guarantee for anything. So in my head, I was like, I'm gonna put everything inside here. But you actually guaranteed us some money though, man. With the little game. This is a spoiler. I mean, the episode already came out already, so you guys know how it turns out. But in the game show, there's like what is it? At the end of all of the different games, someone plays for the audience to win like these certain prizes and all that stuff. And then you played one for what was the category exactly?
It was books.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, it was like you have to like organize
put the books in order of when they were released. So
yeah.
from like I don't know, like a 1930s book to
yeah.
like a current book.
Yeah.
And just everything in between. But funny enough, I felt like that was the hardest category.
Yeah, because no one reads. No.
Yeah, I remember saying, I don't know, I didn't watch the episode yet, but I'm like, nobody reads anymore. So like, this is the hardest category. Like, I think they had a movie one.
Movie one was easy, bro. Song,
game, like a video game one or something. Mm-hmm. There was a board game one too. I felt like I would have gotten that one, but books, I was like, you can tell no one in the audience knew either.
It was so hard, but they had that one lady. You remember? I forgot her name. She was super nice. But she was like on the,
older side.
Yes, yeah. She knew. She read these books like when they came out. Like
I read the one we got wrong, or I got wrong.
Yeah.
And she was like, I read this to my grandchildren, like growing up, or my daughter when they were growing up, like 60 decades ago. And we're like, yeah, we couldn't hear the sweet old lady.
And that was the whole thing. I'm also glad with the whole game show, bro. I didn't get like the game where there was like audience support, like audience could help us, like the memory game or those 2 memory games, right, or something like that. I can't remember. It's like a blur now.
Yeah, it's hard to remember.
Because it's crazy. The last time I saw him was what, April or March, whenever we shot it, and
8 months ago now.
We're recording this in December, y'all. But yeah, it's like been a while, and the fact that we're still keeping contact, man, that's super dope. I appreciate you again, man. This game, man, I don't know. You guys are just skyrocketing because, like, I remember you telling me from the beginning, you're like, yeah, I'm doing this from my garage and stuff. I'm like, okay, my man's hustling. That's why I love LA and like this whole vibe. Everyone just hustling. Like the culture is just like go, 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 go. Like I'm trying to make it out the hood. You know what I'm saying? So, and the fact that now we're actually in this new space, upgrades for season 3. And also you got an upgrade with the new warehouse space. Talk me through that whole process, bro. I know we talked about it earlier, but you started off what you said in the garage, and now you're in how many square foot? Like
yeah. So I mean, we'll start from the first concept of this. Is actually a different box too. But we basically started out of a small little apartment. I had 2 roommates, came up with the idea during COVID time and my experience is actually in Kickstarter, so doing crowdfunding product launches. So
oh my God. So you already had that experience
I had some experience in launching new products to market, but it was actually more in the consumer electronics space.
Got you.
So headphones, electronics, smart locks, things like that. But doing that industry, you experience a lot of, defects, returns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, once I left my business partners in that industry, I was like, what's something I can make that, I can find fulfilling? And board games just kind of hit every single aspect of what I was looking for. But product wise, you can't really mess up printing paper at the end of the day.
At least we hope. Yeah.
At least we hope.
At least we hope, right?
So yeah, defect rate for this type of product super low, easy to manufacture. So it really just comes down to making the brainchild of this, right? But skipping ahead, this all started from the apartment, and then first batch of inventory, we ordered 10,000 units of this. So that crowdfunding campaign, we did about 5,500 units. And I ordered 10,000, and we fulfilled the 5,500 pre-orders. And from there, we sold out the remaining 4,500 in less than a month.
Wow.
Right? So scale-wise, it was insane. We ordered our second order. We had 25,000 units. And that's just really how we took off. So it went from a tiny apartment, then I moved into a little town home with my roommates. And then I told them, like, guys, I need the garage. Like, no one's allowed to park in the garage.
I'll pay extra for that space. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Extra space, and I'm going to operate out of the garage. And so I turned that entire garage into a little mini warehouse. And that's actually where we started shipping out our games in bulk. Every day we'd have the USPS driver, the UPS driver.
You know them already, but my name's like, what's up, my man? Like, yeah.
Exactly, yep.
That's so funny.
I'm like, hey, you guys coming? I'll have a lot today. And then it just kind of scaling from there.
Wow, bro. Yeah. No, that's insane. It's also shout out to the game, super fun. Where did you get the idea from? Obviously, Asian. We love our Asian roots. The boba, that's what if you guys couldn't tell, boba, Sabobatage, the name, I love, it's super clever. Where did that kind of stem from, the little child of the Sabobatage?
Yeah, so I mean, part of my family's from Taiwan, and I was born and raised here. So, bubble tea, aka boba, is such a big upbringing for us, right? So really what boba means to me back when we were growing up is really just a hangout spot, especially when you're in high school.
Yeah.
After school, you want to go hang out with friends, go grab boba. You get to hang out at the cafe.
Absolutely.
You get to play other games, right? They usually just have Connect Four or Jenga over there, but really it's just to hang out until your parents can come pick you up. And so that was part of the nostalgia of, especially for me, like a 90s kid growing up. And so during the pandemic, everyone was either baking bread or doing something. And I had this brainchild. I was like, what's something I miss the most? And it was playing games with friends and bubble tea.
Wow.
Right? And so once I looked it up, nothing existed on the market. There was no boba game.
That's crazy,
on the market,
bro.
Right? So of course, with my, Asian culture heritage, boba stemming from Taiwan, it just
made sense. Yeah.
And I was like, let's create a product. And so I put pen to paper, drew out the concept, drew out the game, and then found an artist. He did all the artwork here.
Bro, this art is amazing, by the way. I'm going to show this around to y'all. Come on now. So it's an artist that made all this, or?
So I have two artists. So one's the illustrator who drew all the characters, and then my graphic designer. So the artist is Jesus from Spain. So shout out to him. Yep. And then my graphic designer from the Philippines, Erica.
Diverse. We love it. We love it.
Her too. And so she did the logo work, everything in terms of what goes on the box.
Yeah.
She did placements and everything. So logo, graphic instructions, all of that she put together. So built out the team that way, and it became a product.
Bro, it's amazing. It's so fleshed out and so clean. I just love the vibe of it. You see this little, I don't know if you guys can see. I love this little Sabobatage. I hate this one though, because this card got me messed up a couple times. Yeah, there's that one card though, I was gonna say insurance. I'm just thinking of my health insurance though. But that safety one, what's it called?
Boba-surance.
Boba-surance. Yeah, there you go. Boba-surance. Shout out to that card, man. That saved me a couple times when I was playing. This game is so fun, bro. But what's this new one over here? You got, what's it called?
Danger Hugs.
Danger Hugs. New one that just came out?
So brand new one. This just came out in December.
Okay.
And really, so part of the whole journey about creating a board game is technically we were one board game company. and it was time for us to diversify, start launching new titles. So we actually, as a board game company, we're now considered what they call a publisher.
Ooh, so nice.
We now will go work with game designers. So there are people who, they could be out of their basement just designing games, and all they want to do is design games.
Yeah, they don't want to worry about the little nitty gritty, the boxes. Yep. There's a lot of boxes, yo.
They might not have a team of graphic designers. Yeah. They don't have the artists. They just literally, notepad.
They make the idea and everything.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they tested out the concept, and they will come pitch it to us. And we basically say, cool, like that's an idea we're looking for. We put the artist onto the game, to the box, and we bring it to life. We go manufacture it. And then after that, we pay them a royalty for it. That's us publishing someone else. Yeah. So that's where Danger Hugs came from. This is actually our first release of a published game.
Nice, congrats, bro.
Shout out to April, Mitchell, and Serena.
Shout out to them. Okay.
April actually won Game Designer of the Year this year.
Wow.
So every game that she's designed in 2024 gets a title of Game Designer.
Ooh.
So Danger Hugs
congrats.
is one of those games too.
Man, we got to get a Patty Show game, bro. I don't know how we're going to do it. Maybe some palm trees. I don't know. I'll let you know, bro. We'll talk about it after. Because the whole process, y'all, oh, man, I got to show you some of the clips later. But, man, I don't know how you can think through everything, all the little boxes, all the space. It's a lot, like entrepreneurial lifestyle. How do you find that balance, man, of, always working hard, but also trying to have some pleasure in your life and enjoyment? Because you are married now, man?
Engaged.
Wedding's going to be in Vietnam, right?
We're going to be in Vietnam for
awesome.
Our wedding. So.
That's exciting, man. But how do you find that balance, and especially with your partner as well? Because I'm sure she also has to have some of the, stress that you're dealing with in the family and stuff. But how you balance all that?
I mean, balance, pleasure-wise and everything, it really, like, the key word is balance with everything, right? So I think just mental preparedness too, because, on top of the board game side, like shipping out products too, which we'll talk about later, is that I run a shipping company as well, logistics company, right?
He does it all. I swear. I didn't know that when I came in. I was like, oh my goodness. You probably saw my reaction. I was like, oh my God. I did not expect that. I just thought it was going to be this game, that game. I was like, oh, okay. This guy. Upgraded, man. Upgraded. Love it.
That was the original question too. It's like from apartment to the garage, and then now we're in a warehouse, and in total, the total square footage we have is about 6,500 square feet.
Bruh.
Right. So,
I can't even fathom how much that is. That's like, well, how many football fields or something?
Still less than one, but yeah, it's a lot of space for a lot of products that we hold. So we do shipping and logistics for other companies too. And part of that balance, that means, I'm building our third company right now. So I know you always mention like entrepreneur, workaholic. That is typically me. And so a lot of my friends too, they just joke about every time we meet up at the conventions or something. They're like, so Eric, like, what's the sixth company that you're opening today? Like, you're gonna be opening another one, right?
You're like, no, it's just the fifth. Okay, guys.
But I always have different ideas, and it all has to come together.
Okay.
Right? There's a moment in time when everything starts to click and make sense, right? Like even the shipping company too. It's not something I would have created 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it was only to the point where it all just made sense, and we had the infrastructure to support it. Otherwise, part of the work life and balance of all that, if you built something without any foundation or structure, it could probably collapse on you, and that's probably when it's most stressful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So for me, balance-wise is just making sure you have the foundation and resources to help support it and make life a lot easier too, right? So on top of that, especially on the work side, it does come down to, like we mentioned, Jesus, we mentioned Erica, all this stuff.
Having a team.
Having a whole team to go with it. So I have about 10 people on the team now.
Nice.
Everyone's pretty much remote. Besides the shipping company here, we have one full-timer, a couple part-timer people. But really, you can't do this without a full support team. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome, man. It's just like the game. You can't play by yourself, unfortunately. There's no solo Sabobatage.
No solo, but I mean, it is something we're looking into for a solo game. That's like all the rage too.
There we go, like a solitary Boba. We'll think of the name because I don't know how that would work.
Sabobatage.
Sabobatage or something like that. I also love how in this game they have like the different top, like what they got, like the aloe one. Man, if y'all don't know, aloe's good. The lychee and all that stuff.
Jelly, pudding, yeah, everything.
I love it, man. I love how fleshed out it is, and it's like your little passion project, which is ironic. That's why I had to have him on the show, because this is what this show's about: sharing our passions, our pleasures, and positivity. And why don't we start off with our first talking point today, my man?
Yeah.
I know we kind of went all over the place, but I just love hearing everything new, and I haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to catch up. My first talking point, my man: the power of pleasure. How does pleasure impact our mental and physical well-being?
That's a great question. Pleasure wise, I mean, if you get very scientific, right, you're talking about like endorphins and all of that. But in terms of the mentality that comes from pleasure, you know, what everybody's looking for is happiness, right? So it's really what you define as pleasure and happiness, and to define your life. And for me, especially as an entrepreneur, you know, running your own business, that comes with its own stressors. So then it's more about how do you find that balance and definition. And for me, it's been a crazy journey. And so what happens is when a lot of people meet me, they actually don't map together the amount of work that I do.
You do a lot.
And how calm I usually am. And so basically what even had me jump off from corporate world to entrepreneurship is the car accident that I briefly mentioned. And so what happened was I got into a car accident. My friend was driving. He fell asleep at the wheel, and we were about maybe less than a mile away from home, right? Man. And so that's when, you know, reports or statistics say like that's when where most accidents happen, is because people are a lot more relaxed when they are closer to home.
Yeah, because you just think you can do it with your eyes closed kind of thing, right? Yeah.
And so what happened was crashed into a tree.
Oh my God.
The accident was more on my side, and then the seatbelt had pulled so hard on my stomach that it ruptured my intestines.
Oh my goodness.
And so I don't remember any of it, but all I did was wake up in the hospital. They already cut me open, reattached my organs.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, I just woke up in the hospital that way. And so several months of just have a recovery process.
Yeah, rehab, right? All that stuff. Yeah.
And that's when you have a lot of time to think about life and pleasure and, you know, what you really want to get out of life. And so at the end of the day, like that whole experience, especially physical pain, the mental pain, what, you know, you have to really think through. To me, nothing really tops that. So that's why when people stress about the little stuff, I don't really stress.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's why, you know, finding pleasure and balance and balancing stress too. A lot of people, especially when they start working with me, they'll see that I don't stress all too much. And especially because I did experience stress to a certain point where when I first launched this, it was a stressful matter, and it got to a point where my eye was like twitching.
Oh my God, man.
Because I was like lack of sleep, because I was so obsessed with building this. And once I experienced that, I was like, okay, you know what? I realized like you have to listen to your body too. And, you know, that's when you have these signals in your body to tell you, like, hey, you need to slow down, you need to chill out. And I've actually, it was the first time that I felt when I was developing this that my brain was on fire. Like, not in a good way. It was like on fire in a good way, where I was like, I want to keep going. I can start building. I can keep working. I can basically just pull a full, like, I could stay up all night just building this out. But I just had to, I even had to take, you know, melatonin to just slow me down too, right? And it was just a weird feeling. And I was like, maybe this is what other entrepreneurs
feel like
after, you know, this weird adrenaline rush that they get. But to me, that was like, this is a signal for me to slow down, take it easy. And so part of that too, when we're defining pleasure, it's also listening to your body, right? And just making sure listen to yourself, because at the end of the day, you know, to me, regardless of the game, regardless of the business, like none of it matters without your health.
Absolutely.
Right? Without making sure you're living, right? And so that's why for me, building the business, you know, if I told you, shipping out, you know, hundreds of products a day, packing boxes, getting card cuts, paper cuts, whatever, like there's nothing fun about that, right? And it's just, even with the money too, like money is just a tool to a certain extent, right? For you to live life. And so for me, like, I don't really tie myself to the business, to the money. It's just making sure that you are happy, that you're satisfied with life, and especially that you can share that with other people around you too.
Wow, man.
And that's what I define as pleasure.
Man, my man's inspiring over here. We love it, bro. Because also, yeah, you are very nonchalant. Even when I first met you too, you're just like, yeah, man, we're just doing this game show. We're having a fun time. Like, even when you're explaining, like, oh yeah, we got this, that, all the different things, moving pieces that you're dealing with, man. You're just so relaxed, and I'm like, man, I gotta learn from you. The eye twitch thing, man. I feel like I just got called out because I felt that the other day, bro. Because having I'm not like big scale business, but like also like doing personal training, bro. Kind of have my own business, and then with the podcast and doing everything else and own kind of stuff. I'm always thinking 50 steps ahead, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. My mind is already like when I was on vacation, I was already thinking like, all right, I got this episode coming up. I got this show I have to do. I got this is that. How do you stay so present though with that? I know you mentioned a little bit because you were recounting like the time with the car accident and everything. But any other tips for people to like just stay as present as possible when our mind is racing, our eyes twitching? Because I'm telling you, my eye has switched a couple times, but it's the weirdest feeling because you can't stop it. Yeah, at that moment you're just like, I want to stop it, but the more I think about it, it twitches faster.
You just feel it twitching. Yeah. And it got to a point where I remember looking at I was just recording myself, and you just see it.
Yeah, bro, it's so weird. Like I'm telling you, it was like, like, and you really can't stop it. So, like, any other tips that you can kind of?
So after I did, just decide not to stress, think about it, then it went away. And I honestly, I have not. I think I've only experienced one Twitch episode, maybe like 6 months ago, maybe. But yeah, besides that, it's just like hasn't occurred since. But when this was being developed 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, it was just like for a couple days when I started thinking about this, when I look at the computer, it was crazy. So, I mean, in terms of staying present, right, and staying not necessarily focused, but just staying present and enjoying the moment, I think it just comes with experience too, where you can plan ahead and think so far into the future, but until that day comes, a lot of it too is out of your control.
Absolutely.
So for me, what I do is I plan for the future. And I'll plan for best case scenario and worst case scenario.
Okay.
So both factors, and you just assume that you'll land in the middle. Right?
I like that. So because there's some people that are like, okay, they always assume the best, and then some that's always the worst, the two extremes. But you're like, all right, as long as it's in between, I can handle that. Somewhere in between.
Because what's going to happen is if you're hoping for the best, you're expecting the best, and it doesn't happen, or you don't get those results, you're going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Right? So then your own body will just like feel a little sad.
Man, yeah.
Right? And of course, if you're experiencing the worst, then you're going to get very, very stressed.
Super stressed. Right? And the eye twitch again can come back.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, part of it too, what I find most important is when you plan for the worst, you'll at least start to plan for plan B, plan C, to help counteract what you can do. And part of it too, I know we're talking more about business instead of life, but I mean this applies.
But that's part of life, man. Yeah.
Like especially when things go wrong, and I can tell you, there's been a lot of stuff that goes wrong.
I can't imagine, man.
Like shipping and all that stuff. We've had, as an example, we had a container get stolen right off the dock right here.
Right here.
At
my God.
2:30 in the morning. I wake up at 8 in the morning. I'm just getting calls from the freight company, the trucking company, my brokers, like all these people, like everybody's just calling me back to back. Like, the truck's been stolen, and I'm like freaking out, right? Because I've never experienced anything like that. But at the end of the day, in my mind, it's like, well, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's already gone, right? It's gone.
So what are the next logical steps, right? And so I do distance myself from emotions to logic, and it's just like, okay, well, let me just go do the research, call around, and figure out what we can do. File a police report, wait till they come in, do all that stuff, get all the paperwork, file insurance, and then that's all, right? But I do think other people will start freaking out because everybody else is freaking out when they're calling me. And I'm like, well, let's just figure it out.
Yeah.
There's nothing more we can do.
I like how you mentioned the like separating the emotion and the logic thing. I think that's especially important because you're a leader, man, for your whole staff, everybody. If you're level-headed, everyone will eventually, even if they're stressed, they'll eventually be on the same field. But if you're too one side or the other, it bleeds through the whole entire like organization, and then that's when everything kind of like crumbles down. I don't know how you can maintain that with this big operation and all the other stuff. You said you guys also ship other stuff?
We ship for other clients as well. So, yeah, I mean, typically we're shipping maybe 300-400 a day of packages, and then
My goodness.
during peak time, during holiday season, especially us being in the toy industry,
Yeah.
that's when sales go way up. We're shipping like 1,000 orders a day. And so just managing that, and of course the stressors of our clients too. They're freaking out because when you're shipping that much, packages get lost, packages get delayed, packages get stolen, and we have to stay calm too in order to just tell clients like this is just what happens in the natural scheme of things. And so I actually have what I call a 1% rule.
Okay.
Everything trickles down 1%. Like it doesn't matter what it is, right? So when we talk about, hey, if we're shipping out 100 packages, 1% of the packages, meaning 1 out of 100, will get lost. Or
wow.
One will get damaged, right? And it's just, to me, the whole like expectations, right? Of like even the good stuff. Like 1% of something that will happen, right? Even not winning the lotto, because the chances of that is very low. Yes. But even like if you do scratchers, right? You'll definitely win 1% of that.
Yeah, win something. Yeah.
Yeah, even a ticket, right? A ticket back. So for us, it's just like setting expectations too with our clients is just making sure they understand what they're getting themselves into, especially new companies. We help a lot of new companies as well with their shipping and their marketing, so they understand. Hey, 1% of error rates, or 1% of this, or 1% is going to happen. It's not expected, but if you're doing by volume, something's gonna happen.
There's just so much stuff. I like that one, man. I like that 1% thing. It's kind of like the game show. 1% chance that we were gonna play. Oh my god, bro! That whole. Oh man,
true. I think it was around 120 people or so, right?
Yeah. Maybe. So yeah, there we go. 1% chance. Because in that game show, y'all, if you don't know, this is us pulling back the curtain. We did not have a guarantee to play, and after that first day, me and Eric, we were dead. Like. We were tempted to not even come up to the safe because there was like no guarantees, and I don't know. It was a good vibe. Like the people were cool, but it was just tiring, man. Like honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, I don't know what kind of delusion I had, but I think it was that 1% thing, man. I'm just like, man, if I get it or not, at least I'm here for the experience, and I talked about it before, but I'm super grateful I got to like experience Nick Cannon because that's the stuff I want to do, like presenting and hosting and his capacity kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool I just had it in the back of my mind, kind of like you were saying with the whole, worst case scenario, best case scenario. Like it's an unpaid internship, you know? Me being a presenter, I'm learning from my boy Nick Cannon. That's cool. Maybe I can hit him up, whatever. But luckily it was a good one because shout out to Jenga. I'm so glad I got that game because the other games, bro, oh my goodness. There was that shuffleboard game.
I think that was probably the hardest.
That was
my skill. That was the hardest.
And then one of our homies, I think his name is Zach. I think the guy that, spoiler, but I don't know if he's on the show. I can't remember, but he didn't get anything. That game is so hard, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's basically just like a life-size shuffleboard where
big shuffleboard.
Yeah, you just have to just slide it to the end. How small is the end zone?
It's like, not even the end zone. You have to hit that gold.
Oh yeah.
There's a gold strip. So you have to get it perfect. So it didn't matter if you got it over or like towards the end where you score points. It's just, you have to hit it in a gold strip zone. Maybe like 10 inches, maybe.
Yeah, probably less. And then also like
it's like 30 feet long.
Yeah, 30 feet long, and then how many pucks you got? We have 7,
I don't know.
7, 8, or something like that. But that one was a hard one. And then they had the memory games, which was a tough one. We talked about it before, like having all the audience help out. I feel like it would be tough because people were like, "Yeah, go left, right. It's the red one. It's the blue one."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that memory game too. That was hard. There was the other one too, where there was like number calling.
The flipping one. Yeah, that one was a interesting one too because that one I think was harder than the gift box one with the different numbers and not numbers, colors and everything, because at least it's just like one set. This one was like 7, 8. Oh my goodness,
different numbers. Yeah, at you.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. The whole Amazon experience was so funny. I don't know if you saw Chris Pratt, but he was there too.
I remember you guys. I heard him yell something like, run these people over, and he's in his golf cart.
Shout out Chris Pratt. Yeah, that was a random experience, and it was also funny because we didn't even have our phones the whole time, right? They put it in like
our phones away.
Yeah, so that's that whole experience. I'm still trying to like fully think about, like, I can't believe that we actually did that. And how did you hear about the whole experience, by the way, my man? I forgot to ask you about that.
The recruiter reached out on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, bro? That's how they found?
Yeah, the message seemed really spammy and scammy because it's like, you look like a fun guy.
I didn't know about this actually. So they just sent a LinkedIn message to your LinkedIn?
You just DM me on LinkedIn and just like, hey, like I'm a recruiter for a show. You look like a fun guy. Like we hop on a call to discuss like on a game show. And you know, there's plenty of like random messages that you get, and I'm like, sure, let's have a chat. And there's I forget the guy's name now, but he's just like so high energy, like very Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I love your energy. Like yeah, it's like just do this, do that. Oh yeah, I love what you're saying. Da, da, da. It's like you're just talking, 60 miles per hour. And I'm like, holy crap, like I think this guy's legit.
He's not lying. You know what I'm saying? No, the whole process is so funny. Like having all the different producers. Shout out to all of them. They were keeping the energy up because they were with us too the whole time. It was just a whole fun. Like the experience, honestly, is just unreal. Like when I think about it, now we know how it's like behind the curtain with all these game shows because there's so many new game shows every single time. And yeah, it was a fun time. I'm glad we got to meet during it. And what's the social? Speaking of LinkedIn, what's your LinkedIn and your socials, my man, that you want to share? It's at
LinkedIn wise, I think it's EYFCHEN718. I mean, but if you look up Eric Chen, Sabobatage, I'm sure you can find me. Or actually, Mountain Coast Logistics, you should find me there. But yeah, Sabobatage, Sabobatage for the board game. With the publishing company too, we've actually just started Moco Games. That's MOCO.
Nice, Moco.
Games. It's also technically stands for Mountain Coast Games too.
There we go.
It's a whole division under what was supposed to be a coffee brand, Mountain Coast Brew.
Oh my goodness!
Just never came to life.
Well, at least it came to life somewhere. It got resurrected another way, my man.
Exactly.
Where did that name come from? The Mountain Coast.
I just love both mountain and coast, and so to me it just sounded cool.
Yeah.
Because like I love skiing. So you asked about like hobbies earlier. I love skiing. That's usually my pastime. But also just ocean, coastal wave, all of that, and just what it means to me for mountain coast. It's what I call the full range, right? So you got from the land to sea, or sea to land.
Yeah.
All the way up to the mountainside. So that's where Mountain Coast comes from.
Man, I love that. The creativity. He's like, yeah, where'd you get the name? That's just how it is. I like it. And I mean, that's how I got the Patty Show, man. I was like, my name and what I want, a show. Sometimes it's always the simple ones. It doesn't hurt to ask because some people have like so like complicated things like, yeah, so the name for Nike is because of blah, 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 all that. For us, it's just he likes mountains, he likes coast, mountain coast.
And I'll share now. So Boba-themed, technically the entity is called Boba-Biz. That's it. Like, don't need to get complicated.
Learn from him.
Don't need to stress out about it. It's just easy.
I love that, man. I love your nonchalantness. And this guy, man, I'm telling you, entrepreneur, I'm learning so much. The CEO lifestyle as well, my man. All right. Speaking of the lifestyle and mindfulness, actually, our next talking point, practicing mindful pleasure. We talked about pleasure a little bit before this, but now we're going to kind of delve into the more mindfulness aspect of it. So my question to you is, how can mindfulness enhance our experience of pleasure? I know you mentioned the whole like skiing, snowboarding, and all that stuff, but how does mindfulness kind of help that even better? In other words,
I mean, mindfulness is just it still goes back to the balance, right? But let's talk about the external factors that kind of come into play to remind myself on maintaining pleasure and happiness in my life. I mean, it has to come down to my fiance.
Shout out to her.
I love
we appreciate you,
Amy. She helps keep me grounded.
I love that.
Right. So because we balance each other so well. She still works corporate. She built her career on that side, and what I thought I wanted in life was someone else just as go as me. Maybe another entrepreneur. Right. So we could build a whole empire.
Boba Empire, yes.
But after I got to know her as we were dating, I'm like, this really is she likes to live a simple life. Like she's not into, shopping or, buying anything super crazy expensive. She just likes to enjoy the simple things.
Wow.
She just wants to go to work, comes home. She loves cooking. And so that's a huge plus for me. And she'll come home and she'll cook a home cooked meal and everything. And that's the reason why I fell in love with her. Is just because of how simple she makes everything. And so, especially during Q4, like when we communicated with each other about my schedule, her schedule, we're mindful of each other's schedule too. And so she knows during Q4, it's our busy time. I'm talking about, I'm working like 15, 16, 18 hours a day doing the shipping, especially when we're talking about staffing, calling out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
Not enough labor to help pack out 1,000 orders a day. And I'll come home at like 9, 10 p.m. And she would always just tell me, like, text me when you're on your way home. I'll have your food ready for you.
Man, I gotta fall in love, bro. You gotta help me, man. Yeah, where's my Amy at? Stop playing. Come to the Patty Show. You know, oh my God, I love that balance, bro, that you mentioned of how y'all, even though like you're doing like the entrepreneur side, still in the corporate thing, you guys balance each other out, and you kind of need that off switch where you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about my business. I just need to worry about the good food. You know, what are your favorite dishes from her? Any?
Oh man, I mean, it's so crazy because I grew up in NorCal, and you think about Vietnamese food up there, they really kept it simple. It's just like, pho and, vermicelli noodles and stuff. But like once I moved down to Los Angeles, like Westminster, Bolsa area, that's all Vietnamese town down here. And there's a whole variety of food. And so she was just introducing me to so many dishes and stuff.
Wow, bro.
I don't know, like she'll make homemade banh kun.
I don't even know what that is, brother.
It's like crab. Udon noodles.
Oh,
soup.
wow.
She'll make hutiu, which is like a dry noodle too. Like she can make everything.
Man, shout out to her. Hey, she's the MVP.
And so yeah, it's just like you mentioned, it's just reminding each other of balance. And we both know now that we've been together for 3.5 years or so.
Wow, beautiful.
And she's just like, her busy season at work is going to be Q1.
Okay.
And my non-busy season is Q1. Right, sales for board game
perfect
industry
balance.
is a lot slower for us, and so I was like, cool. That's usually when I have most free time, and so hopefully I can help take care of her. When she comes home from work, if she's working late, and then just taking care of each other. And so that's just for us to be very mindful of each other's schedule and help balance each other out. So that's one aspect of it. But in terms of business and life in general too, it's really just having a plan and just making sure you are spending time for yourself to make sure you're taken care of, that you're happy, and that way, same thing, the same principle of like the airplane situation, right? You make sure you put on your mask before helping others, because without you, then you can't help others.
Absolutely, bro.
Too, right? So just making sure your health is always good.
I mean, I'm glad that you keep emphasizing that because that's true, man. You can't help anyone else if you're not helped out. Because like I love that airplane just because I just traveled back and they always, you hear the thing over and over again. Remember to it's like in your head already all the time. Help yourself before you help others. That's like the biggest thing I think for anything, because then you get burnt out when you're like a shell of yourself essentially. You have no fuel, you have nothing to do.
And people think that it's being selfish, but it's really not, right?
Yeah, I guess that's how people define it. But you need to do that. You need to, if it's being selfish, then you gotta be a little selfish, to be honest, to be selfless. Because if you have 0% battery, how are you gonna give any charge to anybody else, really? So I love that you guys have that partnership and that like relationship. I need to find my Amy, shout out to her. And y'all met, how did you guys meet again, by the way?
Modern dating online
apps. Which app is it?
This was a Coffee Meets Bagel. Actually.
Oh, I might have to tap in. I need a Coffee Meets Bagel sponsor the Patty Show. Maybe I gotta make a dating show or something. That's so cool, man. Oh my God. I think I've tried it once. That's the one where is it mainly like Asian people? What is?
It's not necessarily mainly Asian. It was founded by I think 3 Korean sisters.
Okay.
But I think when I talked about it with other friends who are still using dating apps. Everyone just says Coffee Meets Bagel is like the most intentional for dating versus like use Tinder and just might be just for a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really where your mindset's at too. Like, are you looking for something more intentional? Because I use all the apps too, and it's just like the best hits were just always on Coffee Meets Bagel, because I was never really dating for fun. I was looking for a life partner.
Someone to build. Oh, that's awesome, man. Being more intentional, more mindful. I love that, man. I might have to tap in actually because Tinder, stop blocking me. I'm kidding. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. I didn't know y'all had that good dynamic. And so she's seen the warehouse and everything, so she knows.
She will come help me if it really comes down to it.
Wow.
So she's like the ultimate trump card, but I don't play that card very often.
Yeah.
So she knows like. Actually, I hurt my back about 6 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
just all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, it's a lot
over here. And so during that week, I'll be like, oh, I need to grab other inventory from the other warehouse. She's like, I'll come with you. And she's a tiny little Asian girl, so she can't really lift.
Yeah, that's why I expected. Yeah, so I'm like, damn, this girl is really helping out. So that's huge flowers to her, you know.
Yeah, and she'll come out and she's like, I will carry, move the boxes around for you and everything. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, can't.
Wow. Well, that's perfect for this Valentine's special episode. Shout out to all the loved ones over there. I need to find my Amy. Shout out to that. With every great entrepreneur, there's an Amy doing everything, cooking the banh mi and all the other stuff, and all the bans. There's a lot, man. I got Vietnamese cuisine, man. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. Yeah. It's where I'm from in Bridgeport, Connecticut. There's so much Vietnamese people, and in the cuisine, it's just so much. It's pretty similar, I'd say, to like Indonesian cuisine, but they have their own beast over there. They're just a lot of the rice noodles and everything. And man, I gotta get back to Southeast Asia. You make me want to travel again. You guys are getting married though in Vietnam, though, right?
We are, yeah.
That's gonna be exciting, man. I'm excited for that. It's is it a big wedding, small wedding? What's the?
I mean, I think in Asia it's just naturally big.
Oh, bro, yeah.
The family will invite what they call like the village and all their friends and network and stuff. So I think he said maybe it's like 300 plus people. But it's weird because in America we're planning an America wedding too, and it's like you have to plan a year ahead. You start sending invitations 9 months out. And she's like, oh, in Vietnam, like everyone's having a wedding every day. You can literally invite someone the week of,
and they'll be there.
And for them, it's just a dinner banquet.
Yeah.
So nothing too crazy with like ceremonies and like how they do it here in the States. But so when we go, then she's like, yeah, technically they're expecting X amount of people, but they'll get an invitation literally like 8 days before.
Yeah, no, bro, I'm glad you pointed out. In Indonesia, it's the same thing. When I went, actually with my boy Lucario to see my family and everything, we got invited on the spot the same day we flew in. Like, they were like, yeah, there's a wedding tonight. I was like, what? Do we have to prepare? He's like, no, just wear something nice, take pictures, all that stuff. And mind you, he's black. So he took a lot of pictures over there. He was like a celebrity. And we did like karaoke, like twice. Yeah. And we did some random songs over there, but I don't know, something about like the Asian, they just love weddings, like celebrating food and all that stuff. Are you planning on doing like one in Taiwan too then? Or?
No, not in Taiwan, but our American wedding will just be here down in SoCal.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot, man. Weddings in general, the money and everything, it's a whole headache, but that's exciting stuff, man. I'm glad that you're having some pleasure with the wedding and have a fun time with that. So my third talking point today, my man, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but overcoming guilt and shame. I know we were talking about the hustle culture. Like, man, this guy is working 25/8, probably something like that. This guy is hustling. Like, it's crazy. Like the last time I saw you, the growth that you've literally like. Sabobatage is another level, and then you're doing. I didn't even realize you were doing all this other stuff. And thank you again for making time for this. By the way, man, I appreciate you. How do like cultural or societal norms, man, impact our relationship with pleasure? Then, because I know. We're always gonna want to keep going, green, always gonna to make the green, to be honest. How does the like those norms impact the guilt in like doing the pleasure things in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think we touch upon culture, right? Like especially growing up in Asian culture, parents, they tell you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately for me, I'm not the smartest.
I feel you, brother.
So it was more of like, I was only decent at math, so basic arithmetic, but then, oh man, like once you throw in letters, alphabet. Oh yeah,
bro.
Right? You talk about calculus.
Oh my goodness, bro. Don't get me started on that one, man. AP calculus? Oh, goodness gracious.
I failed calculus in college. I had to retake it until I got a passing D.
Oh man.
Right? And so it was just not fun. And so, but parents' expectations, what it really stems from is they just want the best for you. And they just assume if you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever, higher paying career, that's where you'll find the most safety, right? But for people in our generation, we are a little bit more fortunate that we have the luxury to technically choose what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And so it was definitely a big turning point when I'll take a step back of like disobeying my parents, where they're like, no motorcycles. But right when I turned 18, I'm like,
Here we go. Vroom, vroom.
I'm getting a motorcycle. And I basically figured out how to save my own money and bought my first motorcycle myself.
Wow.
Only $1,800, I think, at the time.
That's pretty good.
But it was just like, cool. And of course, they can't really stop me. They're just very disapproving.
Yeah.
But of course, like the pleasures of riding a motorcycle is
it's fun,
a lot
man.
of fun.
It's
right?
fun.
And of course, they're just fear for your safety, right? Because you hear all the horror stories and stuff. But I outgrew it, I think, at the age of 26 or so. So I rode for a decent amount of time.
Oh, nice.
Several years. But after that, it's like, as you grow up,
you're like risk and reward. You're like, do I want to deal with this?
Too much. But leading into that, right, from the moment I told them I was working at Google doing sales and marketing.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I was selling ads, the commercials you guys get on YouTube and stuff. That was my job. I convinced the companies to pay for ads. So I apologize for that.
Man, I bought a lot of stuff, man.
But telling them like I'm leaving corporate to just figure out how to run my own business. My dad actually had many failed businesses. He was running a semiconductor business, so they kind of saw the whole path of like him running a couple businesses. They all technically failed, right? So of course for them too, they're like, it's going to be better for you to just get a stable job, a stable career, just go work in tech.
Save the heartbreak kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And so for me, I just was never satisfied in my corporate job, right? And so part of that car accident that I mentioned earlier too is like, I'm in corporate, I'm in technically the best company in the world, but why did I feel unsatisfied with it, right? I wasn't having fun working corporate because it just didn't seem as rewarding. It wasn't too much pleasure with it, right? And so for me, I'm like, I want to just set my own path. I want to do my own thing. I want to do it on my own terms. So what the crazy part was, what happened was I actually had more internal bleeding problems from my car accident 6 months later. And I was already working corporate there. And the issue is like when you're having internal bleeding, there's no pain or anything. It's just you're just bleeding out of your butt basically.
Oh my God.
Bleeding. And like, so I'm in the hospital, they're spending days to figure it out. And it's just, that's when I had the most time to think. I'm just in the hospital bed. All the machines are just beeping. It's very annoying. The doctors and nurses are just coming in and poke and prod you, take some blood draws and stuff. And it was just like a very weird experience at that time. And I had like, roommates too. You're talking about old people getting cycled in and out, right? So I had one person pass away too in the hospital. And it's just like very weird to think about like life and death. Yeah. Especially in a clear mind. Because after the accident, when you get surgery, you're on drugs, you're on everything. So you don't remember. I don't remember much from the first post procedure. But from that second time I was in the hospital, it was just a lot of time to think. The Wi-Fi wasn't working, so you can only read so many books. Couldn't use the internet. I couldn't watch Netflix. Oh man! So it was really just me and my thoughts, right? So a lot of that thinking, really put a lot of, I guess, thoughts of like, culture and what expectations that your parents have for you, and even societal norms. You're talking about like, oh, you should get married at this time, you should get a house by this time, and all that stuff. Right? A lot of stressors. But I think once you really sit down, plan out what you want in life, and really just map it out, then just take your time to plan ahead. And so when I told my parents I was leaving corporate, they were not happy, right? They just want stability. And of course, I'll tell you now, like about 3 years into me playing entrepreneur, that's why I still joke about being professionally unemployed, because at the time I was not making a lot of money. It was just like figuring out. I depleted life savings, right? Like I didn't know what I was doing. Lost a lot of money on projects. And so it was just like, what am I doing? And so for the first 4 years of entrepreneurship, it was just like, I should go back to corporate. I should go get a job. I should just maybe save up and just do a side hustle instead. And so it wasn't until I really focused down on this stuff right here that like this helped figure out, the passion that I wanted to hit. All the check boxes of like, this is me giving back to the world, to the community. Board games brings family and moments for like you were able to spend Christmas and play these games.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys had some laughs and create some core memories, right? And that's what this was all about. And for me to figure that out took a long time, but because there's so much good intentions behind this, then things really just took off. And so once I, even though I still had this for the first couple of years, it wasn't until like, I tell my mom like, okay, mom, we're now in Target, we're now in Barnes and Noble. Then she's like, oh, okay, now it's a real thing.
Yeah. The real, it's thinking,
She couldn't make the connections like, okay, you sell online, you sell on Amazon, but like, it's not physically visible in the world, right? But until she saw that and she's like sees the volume that we're doing, then she's like, okay, like Eric's fine.
Bro, I think that's like that's an Asian parent thing. We love our Asian parents, but I'm an actor too, and all that entertainment space. I feel like only recently I've kind of been like, my parents were like, oh, okay, he's okay in LA, like, because I moved like almost over a year ago. Yeah. But then like, for example, when the Amazon show came out, all those big projects, they're like, oh, he's okay. But at first, like, my dad wanted me to be in the military, anything else besides like acting or entertainment, all that stuff, because of there's like no security really, corporate job, do that. So I'm glad that you also experienced that, where you're like, your parents are kind of like, okay, they're okay. They're okay. Even if they don't fully say it, but they're like, all right, we see it actualized kind of, and it's a beautiful thing, man. But the process isn't easy. People only look at the highlights and they don't see the craziness, like the crazy warehouse, all this other stuff and everything. How do you kind of, I guess, find that balance still? I know we talk about balance a lot, but especially for the people that want to be, entrepreneurs out there, CEOs and all that stuff, how do you find that balance and taking care of yourself? Is there like a self-care routine that you do every day, every week, or something like that you can share?
There's no routine.
That's the answer.
I think that the issue for entrepreneurship is that you always have to be on and available. And that's why even when you're on, you just have to make sure you're on for your downtime. Right? Intentionally plan that out too.
Be mindful with it.
You'll always forget about it. I think especially because my team is global, right? So we're talking about my team meetings in Asia, right? So I have about 6 VAs, so virtual assistants in the Philippines.
6? Oh my goodness.
So for us, like, I want them to have the best work-life balance.
Yeah.
Too. Very intentional about that. So they get to work 9 to 5 over there. But a lot of companies, especially US companies or Western type companies, they force those virtual assistants in the Philippines to work night shift. So they're working US day hours.
And time differences are crazy, bro. Yeah, it's
so for them, they're working midnight, right? And then but for me, it's like I would rather them live a normal life there. And the way I look at it too, it's more of like, I am okay to sacrifice me working late nights for the pleasure of 6 people on the team, so they can live a normal work life and spend more time with their families and stuff as well. And so it's just like intentional planning like that.
Man, that's insane, man. My man, he's because I know the time difference was like 15 hours.
Yeah, 15 hours.
Same for Indonesia. Yeah, it's that's why when my mom calls me randomly, love you, mom, but it's like the randomest times. I'm like, man, I could be out in the club or whatever, and then it's like, oh, mom, sorry, I'll call you back later, kind of thing. Man, that's insane, man. Wow, how do you deal with all the remote team and everything like that? I know, like, now, even like one of my other jobs, I work at Meta doing like the AI stuff, but working remotely is so funny with like company culture and everything, because I recently went to the Meta office in Boston and New York, and people are kind of like disconnected, I think, because of this. So even though it's funny that like we're more connected because of the digital age, I feel like in person it's different. How do you guys maintain that culture of like staying connected, even though like you're literally in another faraway land?
Yeah, and it is crazy because working corporate, I do miss out on the bonding experience you have with coworkers and all of that. But for the virtual team, because I've been doing it for so long, I'm actually very used to having a virtual team. Basically, for us, it's just constant communication. Everyone has to just check in, check out. And so it's really just weekly team meetings. I actually try not to bog everybody down with like useless team meetings, right?
Shout out to you, bro. Yeah. Oh, man. meetings for no reason, man.
Exactly.
You know,
it's like,
could be an email. It could have been an email.
Yeah. So we just use communication tools like Slack. So all the things that we need to actively work on
Mhm.
today, just communicate back and forth. We only have one team meeting a week, which is usually just start off the week, just go over like anything that's holding someone up. What's the cadence for the rest of the week? What we need to be working on? What's the new focus? But besides that, I try not to bother the team. So it's like, but that's the issue too. It's like I don't micromanage, and so that's why every hire I need has to be self-sufficient. But there's definitely workers that they need someone to be telling them exactly what to do every single day, every single minute.
You make their schedule kind of thing, like, okay.
But I tell them like, look, it's just once I figure out that that's what they need, I either tell them like, you either have to really figure it out or we're just not the right team. So that's why everybody else on the team is pretty self-sustaining. And so that's why when we talk about I work a lot, but having a really solid A+ team is super important too.
Wow, man, that's awesome, man. I feel like we're learning a lot from our CEO mastermind over here, man. Any kind of like wrap up, recap, final advice you want to give out to the audience, man? We have a lot of amazing truth bombs over here. Anything to kind of like wrap it up in a bow to everybody?
I think, honestly, it's just, you just have to really think about what's worth stressing about and what's not. And because the stress is what's going to get to you, right? And so when you just put things into perspective, and I mean, you've traveled the world too, right? I think traveling helps put a lot of things in perspective,
Absolutely.
Right? What people have, and appreciating what you have, and just like not stressing. And that's why part of like me running my own business, it's granted me a lifestyle that suits me, a lot more freedom and flexibility. That's why when you ask about routine, I have no routine. It's just being very flexible and fluid like that, but just not stressing, because to me, stressing for the most part to me is unnecessary.
Absolutely.
It's just problem solving and figuring it out. That's what entrepreneurship is. So the less you stress, the more time you can spend solving problems, the more problems you resolve, the more free time you have to enjoy life and all the pleasures. Man,
they say less stress will make you feel the best. There you go. We're gonna put that on a little slogan. Maybe maybe that's the board game, the Patty Show game. We just I'll figure that out eventually. But bro, what is the Sabobatage website again and everything, bro?
Sabobatage is just Sabobatage.com. If you can't spell it, which it's sometimes a little hard, you can just go Boba-cardgame.com.
Boba-cardgame.com. And then Instagram and LinkedIn, what is it at?
Sabobatage.
There we go. Yeah. We like to keep it streamlined. And of course, you can find us at Patty Show Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I forget where else, YouTube, personal website, pattysetziati.com/podcast for all podcast needs, and pattyshow.podbean.com. If y'all don't know PodBean, it's pretty good. It just distributes all the podcasts and all that stuff. But bro, I appreciate you again, bro, coming on the Patty Show, man. Thank you for all the advice and everything, bro. And just you're killing it, man. I love seeing the growth. I can't believe it's been almost 9 months since I've seen you, but it's like we're back in the game show camp and all that stuff. But like I said, I'm super grateful for you. Thanks for all the insight, bro. Mindfulness, talking about pleasure. Thanks for sharing that story again about that car accident. It's crazy, but man, you made the best out of it, man, and you're killing it. Keep doing your thing. Like I said, Patty Show, game board, all that stuff is coming soon. Next episode we got for season 3, y'all, it's gonna be about positivity. We're gonna have a little fun time over there. I won't spoil too much. We're gonna talk about positivity, just like we were talking about today. But yeah, man, I'm grateful for you. We're gonna have some extra content maybe coming soon with Eric and everything. But tune into the Patty Show on the next episode, and we're gonna end with our favorite little arigato at the end. We love our Asians, so on 3 we can do a little arigato. But 1, 2, 3, arigato. Yes, thanks, my brother. Appreciate. Oh yeah. Do the yay, just like in the game show. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Patty Show. I hope you had as much fun as I did exploring the crossing point of the 3 Ps: passion, pleasure, and positivity. If you want to keep the Patty Party going, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all social platforms at Patty Show Podcast. Share this episode and leave a positive review. PattySetziati.com/podcast, as well as pattyshow.podbean.com. I've got more of your Patty Show needs. In the meantime, keep passionately pursuing your personal paradise. Arigato.